Okay. I am having a wonderful conversation with Dr. Rollo Dilworth in Philadelphia. He is going to be a guest conductor with the Santa Barbara Choral Society coming up on Saturday, March 28th. That's in about a week's time, and Sunday, March 29th at the Lobero Theatre. I'll give a little more detail in just a minute if Dr. Dilworth will bear with me, but it's going to be a very, very interesting program because along with the Choral Society and a wonderful program of Mozart and Ola Yelo, wonderful composer, Norwegian, I think, composer. We have the whole second half, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be with Dr. Dilworth guest conducting. We're going to do a lot of his arrangements of spirituals. He's going to be also working with right there the San Marcos High School Chorus, and as I understand it, he's coming to Santa Barbara a couple days in advance, I presume, to do some workshops with the San Marcos High School Choir, and I presume that means that you won't be able to resist doing workshops with the adults of the Master Chorale, of the Choral Society. Excuse me, everybody, it's the Choral Society. Let me just do the prelims, and then we'll get started. Santa Barbara Choral Society, Saturday, March 28th at 8 o'clock, Sunday, March 29th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the historic Lobero Theatre in downtown Santa Barbara. Tickets are $14 to $44, so somewhere in there, somebody's, there's a ticket for everybody. And the telephone number for the Lobero Theatre box office in Santa Barbara, for those of you all over Southern California who are watching this little interview, area code 805 in Santa Barbara, 963-0761. Now, and then we'll ask Dr. Dilworth to explain his title. Wait till you hear this, folks. Dr. Rollo Dilworth is Professor of Choral Music Education and Choir, that's fine, of the Department of Music Education and Therapy. Now, that's very interesting, at Temple University's Boyer College of Music and Dance in Philadelphia. Let's start right there. Can you please tell me what you do?
Yes, Dan. I am a full-time professor at Temple University here in Philadelphia at the Boyer College of Music and Dance. And I am specifically a professor of choral music education. So my specific duties include teaching future teachers how to be choral directors, grades K through 12 in particular. I'm also a choral director myself, and so as part of my teaching load, I have a community chorus. We call it the Town and Gown Chorus, so to speak, because both students from the university as well as community members are allowed to join, and we are known as the Temple University Singing Owls. That's our mascot, community chorus. And in that particular capacity, I am director of the chorus, and I get to concertize with this group at least a couple of times a year. And I also work with graduate students who I mentor in their role as sort of an assistant conductor or a teaching assistant. And that keeps me very busy. Now, the other part of my title as chairman of music education and music therapy, I oversee the department in terms of faculty, both in music education, but also in music therapy. And we have a fantastic music education program in which we train young professionals, pre-service teachers, to go into the classrooms and gain certification in order to teach general music, chorus, band, orchestra, music technology, every type of course that you can imagine in a K through 12 setting. In the music therapy side, we have a wonderful faculty here that prepares and trains practitioners to do clinical work as music therapists. And therapists can operate in more of what we call sort of a psychotherapeutic role, or maybe even in sort of a medical kind of role. And so our music therapists may work in schools, they may work in prisons, they may work in hospitals. Depends on the type of treatment that they have been called upon to administer. There is certainly a similarity between both being a music educator and a music therapist. I think both professions really want to use music and the power of music to transform lives, to enhance the quality of life, either from a cultural standpoint or maybe even from a therapeutic standpoint, and or an educational standpoint or an entertainment standpoint. So it's a very wonderful profession, set of professions that I represent here at Temple University.
Yes, and very, very needed. I can say I remember as a youth I did a little bit of music therapy at Cottage Hospital long before I had any idea the significance of music in the human condition, if you will. How music can really get to the deep side of people and really help people in a great and very meaningful way. That's the joy of our profession.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Let me just dance a little bit about the program. We're going to see Joanne Wasserman is the artistic director and conductor of the Santa Barbara Choral Society. She'll be conducting Mozart Vespere Solennis de Confessore from 1780. I hope I pronounced that halfway adequately. And also this wonderful Ola Yellow piece, Dark Night of the Soul. Absolutely exquisite, gorgeous piece. And then Intoxicating, I see I've written down here. And then the second half of the program, the San Marcos High School chorus will be joining the choral society, and you set forth. And what are you going to do? Let me throw a couple of titles out.
Okay.
Here's what the second. Okay, we've got Mozart, we've got Yellow, intermission. Then we've got The Harvest, The Gift, How Can I Keep from Singing, Shine the Heavenly Light, etc., etc., etc. It's going to be quite a shindig, isn't it?
I think so. I'm very excited about what will probably be an amazing event from start to finish. But in particular, I think these pieces that are in the second half of the program will be quite a contrast from music of the classic period of Mozart, and even from a more contemporary classical perspective by Mr. Ola Yelo. This music that I'm hoping to share is really connected and rooted in the African American spiritual and gospel style traditions, including the folk songs. The Gift to Be Free is an arrangement of the folk song Simple Gifts, the Shaker tune, really, and How Can I Keep from Singing, of course, is a hymn that's often attributed to Quaker tradition, although Reverend Lowry I don't think, was a Quaker himself. And so I even take folk music or songs from these traditions, from the Shaker traditions, and try to sort of reinterpret them through my own lens. And there's certainly a little bit of my personality and certainly a lot of bit of my cultural upbringing in all of these arrangements.
Very, very nicely put. And by the way, for everybody who has interest and wants to pursue this a little bit further, on YouTube, zillions of performances. Dr. Dilworth is conducting all over the place, and the beautiful thing, especially in terms of this education, and by the way, your mission here is an educative one as well in Santa Barbara with the San Marcos High School Choir. Boy, I'm getting myself in trouble here with these high schools. But I guess the bottom line is the number of wonderful videos on YouTube, especially some of your workshops, and I'm very intrigued. You're going to do you're an expert at warm-ups, at all that good stuff that's going to help everybody sing better. How did you get involved anyway? And you're a composer, you're an arranger. I've read something or seen something where you discuss, at the age of 9 or 10, your church choir or your elementary school choir, wanting to change a few things in the already written score. What's the story of that? Who got you started on that trail?
I've always had great music teachers. I had wonderful music teachers in elementary school. My elementary school music teacher was also my church choir director, and she had a very helpful friend and colleague who became my piano teacher. So I was under their direction for many years, growing up, the two of them, and I really was an inquisitive kid who wanted to sort of figure out, okay, sort of unlock puzzles, if you will. I've always liked puzzles, and for me, learning the music was a great puzzle, so to speak, but also tweaking the music and experimenting with it. Even as a young kid, I always was curious about what would this music sound like if I were to change one note or two notes, or if I left the melody the same and perhaps changed the harmonies underneath. And I was always a bit of a theory geek, if you will. I loved music theory growing up, and I still love it to this day. And I think that that's how I got into arranging, and then ultimately into composing. I wasn't always composing just for the sake of composing. It's always, I think, some sort of goal in mind. A college student, I was composing and arranging, and as a teacher, I was composing and arranging music for my middle school chorus, and so it's always been a part of my DNA, so to speak.
So you are a composer geek.
Indeed.
as you've confessed. And another thing I've noticed watching many of your workshops, you're a very animated conductor, very engaged, very engaging, and I know that the Choral Society has a real mission of outreach. This is why we're bringing in the San Marcos High School Chorus. You haven't been to Santa Barbara yet, have you? This is coming this week that you're going to.
Yes, I leave on Wednesday. Yes.
But you have experience in this way. What is the end result in terms of the satisfaction for yourself? I'm asking you a loaded question, but
sure.
This business of arriving as a complete stranger in a scene of high school and even elementary school kids. I've seen some wonderful results with elementary school kids. What is the goal? That's the loaded question.
Sure. It's a very fair question. I think that for most people in my position, we probably look at. I sort of philosophically look at three elements here. I look at. They all begin with the letter P, by the way. One is people, one is product, and one is process. And I think that for every teacher conductor, such as myself, we sort of struggle with how to keep those three elements in balance when we're working with an ensemble. I think it's important to have a product that has quality, artistic integrity, and so we will certainly work hard to achieve that as we rehearse over the 2-3 day period. But equally important to that, if not more important for me, are the other two elements, and that has to do with process and with people. The destination is wonderful, but it's the journey that often is most rewarding. And I think that my major goal is to take the San Marcos Choir and the Santa Barbara Choral Society through a process by which they not only develop a deeper understanding of the music that they have been charged to communicate and to deliver, but also provide a process by which they are able to develop their musicianship on a deeper level, perhaps develop their historical understanding of this type of music through what I hope to provide as what I consider to be a cultural immersion experience. And then also think about people. First and foremost, we are people. We are human beings, and I want people to really come to understand not only the roots of this music, but how this music in particular helped to sustain and transform the lives of a people that were searching for hope, that were searching for justice, that were searching for freedom. And I hope that these types of themes on humanistic with all of us as in 2015. People often ask me, well, why are you doing spirituals and gospel music, in 2015? What's the significance or the relevance of this music that is so historic? And the truth of the matter is that the themes and the ideas that helped to shape this music so many years ago, the spirituals in particular, which were, of course, composed during the era of slavery, I think are still relevant and meaningful to us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, or what your background is, or your ethnicity, or your heritage. I think that the spiritual sort of speaks to all of us, and gospel music speaks to all of us, in that it's the kind of music that drives the human soul and feeds it. And I think that that's why so many people are attracted to it. And you don't have to be of a certain faith background or of a certain cultural background in order to enjoy it and in order to learn from it. And so that's really those are really my goals as I make my way to sunny California later this week.
Well, you just made my day with one of the most brilliant explications I think I've heard in a long time. And this gospel music is also an American tradition.
Yes, indeed.
Uh,
Indeed.
no
Indeed.
further need to be said. Let me do a quick overview so that everybody in Southern California get a chance to come up to Santa Barbara. It's another one of those gorgeous weekends coming up, I'm sure, in a week's time. This coming Saturday, let me get my goodies, the 28th of March at 8 o'clock in the evening at the historic Lobero Theatre. If you haven't been there, folks, you need to go check out the Lobero, let alone the Santa Barbara Choral Society, San Marcos High School Choir. Joanne Wasserman is going to be conducting some Mozart, some Yelo, contemporary Norwegian composer, I think, or Danish. I hope I'm not in trouble with those two countries yet, or with Ola. And the second half is going to be American spirituals, may I say that, gospel music, American music, arranged, lots of wonderful arrangements by my guest, Dr. Rollo Dilworth from Temple University. It's going to be a wonderful two engagements, as I said, 3 o'clock on the 29th, Sunday, 8 o'clock Saturday evening, the 28th. Lobero Theatre, tickets, area code 805-963-0761, $14 to $44. You can't go wrong. Dr. Dilworth, thank you very, very much for giving me a few minutes of an extraordinarily busy, I'm sure, day. And thanks very much indeed. I'll look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Same here. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.